Hey everyone, it's March 16th, 2020, the first day of many school closings across the country. Even though schools are closed, I figured I could make educational videos and keep the education going that way. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Dave McGrath. I'm a teacher, stand-up comedian, writer, Crohn's disease sufferer, brain cancer survivor, huge Star Wars dork, and I love hockey and Pearl Jam. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. So this video is going to highlight some of the medical lessons I've learned in my life. So maybe health teachers and English teachers can use this for their class. I grew up in Westboro, Massachusetts. I was the middle of 5 children, an Irish Catholic family. I have everything you can have but a twin. Older brother, older sister, younger sister. So things were pretty busy growing up. We were a big sports family. We loved the Bruins. We loved the Red Sox. Me and my brothers and sisters loved playing sports. And I prided myself on being tough growing up. You know, hockey players, we love to say how tough we are. But it didn't serve me well at all growing up. I remember in 3rd grade, I was playing basketball at recess, and I fell down, wrong on my foot, and I limped around school the rest of the day. And come to find out, my mom took me to the doctor, and I had a broken ankle. I walked around on a broken ankle for half a day. So that's how smart I was. And I continued that, I'm a tough guy mentality throughout, my grade school and junior high. And when I was probably like 11 or 12, I started having these really painful and embarrassing symptoms. And I didn't want to tell anyone about them. And now I'm going to tell all of you about them. I started having diarrhea, cramps, pain when I went to the bathroom, blood. Sometimes I would wipe and I would see blood. And I just dealt with it. I was like, I'm a tough guy. I can deal with this pain. I dealt with it for years until finally, when I was a freshman in high school, this got worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point where the pain was so bad on my side that I couldn't even stand up straight. And at that point, I was like, hey, I can't stand up. Maybe I should go to a doctor. So I went to my doctor, and I didn't tell him any of the other digestive issues I was having. I just said it hurts right here. And he said, oh, it's probably just indigestion, watch what you eat and it should go away. And that's exactly what I wanted to hear, because you never want to get bad news when you go to the doctor, right? So I went home, and it got worse, and a neighbor of mine, Dr. Bob, who worked at UMass in Worcester, he came over and examined me, and he said, I think your appendix is about to burst. You need to go to the ER tonight. So my parents took me to the emergency room, and they opened me up, which was what was supposed to be a 45-minute surgery to remove my appendix. They ended up operating on me for over 4 hours, and they removed 1.5 foot of my intestines, and I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Not a fun way to start your freshman year in high school. It was actually in December at this point, and I was in the hospital for Christmas. That was not fun, but I got through it. A lot of support from my family and friends. I still have Crohn's to this day, and it's taken me, took me like 20 years to figure out the right balance of diet, medication, and exercise to get my Crohn's under control. And but I still have it, But in a way, it was good that I had that experience with Crohn's when I was a freshman, because 3 years later, when I was a senior, I started having different symptoms. And this time it was headaches and double vision. And I learned from my Crohn's, and I didn't wait to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor right away. I thought I had contact lenses, so I thought maybe something was wrong with my contacts. So I went to my eye doctor. He didn't know. He referred me to another eye doctor who didn't know. Finally, an ophthalmologist, neurologist could tell something was wrong, and he ordered a CAT scan, and that was 3 days after I turned 18. They gave me a CAT scan, and I'm in the CAT scan machine, and they took some pictures, and then the CAT scan tech came in and said, oh, I'm going to remove this head plate, lean your head back, because the doctor wants pictures from a different angle. And I knew right then I was screwed. I was like, doctors would not want more pictures if there was nothing there. So I'm sitting there in the CAT scan machine thinking about all the possibilities, all what it could be, and swearing a lot in my head. And then I thought about my mom who was waiting for me, and I was like, oh no, I can't be scared. I gotta be positive about this, no matter what it is. I gotta go out there and tell my mom it's gonna be fine, and I have to believe. Not I don't have to just say it. I have to actually believe it. And so I went out, and my mom was trying not to cry, and she told me they found a brain tumor in my in the middle of my head, and it was pushing on my optic nerve. That's why I was having double vision. So it's weird. I actually started laughing because somehow I knew in my head I was going to be okay. I was like, Mom, it's going to be fine. UMass took care of my Crohn's disease. They're going to take care of this. It's going to be fine. So I was in and out of the hospital for a few weeks, getting blood tests, getting other tests, and which isn't fun. It's not fun to go to the doctor. It's not fun to be sick. It's not fun to get your blood drawn. All those things aren't fun, but guess what? Sometimes you got to do them. And so it was in and out, and they still weren't sure if it was. They thought it was benign because of its location, but they still weren't sure. So they ordered a biopsy surgery to be done. And my parents and I met with the surgeon, and he said he was going to cut in the back of my neck and go up and get a piece of the tumor, if all of it if he could, but just get a piece of it so they could test it. So we met with him. I remember being in his office, and basically when you have brain surgery, you sign your life away. But in my mind, I was like, this is a little scary, but they're going to figure out what it is. This is going to help them figure out what it is, so we got to do this. And you're like looking at all these forms, and one of them said, with all brain surgery, there's a slight chance the patient might undergo a severe personality change. And I showed that to my parents. I was like, you guys wish, right? I had a bit of a temper when I was younger. I still have it, but it's way more in control now. So anyway, we were still making jokes. It was a serious situation. I was about to have brain surgery for a tumor, and I was still making jokes. That's one of the things these medical issues have taught me, is that you got to keep laughing no matter what. You got to keep laughing. You got to make jokes. You got to watch funny movies. But these are the things that are going to help you get through all this stuff, right? So we had a date for my surgery, and I think it was less than a week before my scheduled surgery. My oncologist called and said they found a marker in my blood, and so they knew. The bad news was it was cancerous. The good news was I didn't need my surgery. So they knew what kind of tumor it was. It was cancerous, and they knew, so that's good. Hearing that you have cancer is bad, but knowing what kind of cancer it is and what the treatment they're going to do that's good. In my mind, I was like, good. They have a name to it. I don't care what they call it, as long as they know what it is and what the treatment is. The funny thing about my diagnosis, and it's true, I'm really not making this up. Even though it was in the middle of my brain, it was the same kind of cells as testicular cancer, proving that I'm a dickhead. My brothers and sisters were right all along. I think they said it so often it actually happened. But the real important thing about that is I didn't wait, right? With my Crohn's, I had symptoms for years. I dealt with them. I put up with them. With my brain tumor, I started having symptoms that weekend. I went to the doctor for the first day on a Tuesday, and then Friday of that week is when they found my tumor. So it was less than a week of having the symptoms, and I went to the doctor. So they knew what kind of tumor it was, and they knew what the treatment course was. It was DP16, carboplatinum, and bleomycin were my chemo meds. They said I was going to need chemo, 4 to 6 rounds of chemo followed by radiation. And so I started my first round of chemo my senior year of high school. By the end of April of my senior year in high school is when I started chemotherapy. So Dr. Bob, my neighbor, who basically saved my life with my Crohn's disease, he came into my room, my first round of chemo, when I was getting my first round. And he told me that he had read studies that said patients who use, cancer patients in particular, who use visualization in treatment have higher success rates. So he told me what visualization was. He told me when you're in the middle of treatment, you can close your eyes and picture the chemo traveling through your veins up into your brain and picture it attacking the tumor. So I did that. When I got chemo, I would close my eyes and picture the chemo traveling through my veins up into my brain and attacking the tumor. And I did this listening to my favorite bands at the time, which were Extreme, Pearl Jam, Skid Row. I remember Babylon AD had a song called Bad Blood, and it was like perfect for what I was going through. And that helped me, just the energy of those songs and picturing the chemo doing its job. And I mean, really, I would imagine it viciously attacking this thing. And so I went through 6 rounds of chemo. My last round of chemo was my first weekend of college. So which is weird, I went to school for like half a week and then went to UMass for my last round of chemo. I went to Boston College, and I remember watching the first Boston College home football game on TV while I was getting chemo, which kind of sucked, but whatever. You got to do what you got to do to get through these things, right? And so after my last round, I went back to school, and oh, by the way, my doctors and parents were like, we think you should take your first semester of college off and recover, and then start second semester, and you'll have more energy, and which, looking back, was probably a better idea. But 18-year-old Dave McGrath starts college when he wants to start college, not when cancer tells him he should start college. So anyway, so I did my last round and went back to school, and like 3 weeks later, got really sick, fever, infections, all that stuff that comes post chemotherapy, and I had to go back in the hospital. My temperature was like ridiculously high. It's like one of those temperatures where it's so high you're shivering. And so I went back. I dealt with that. But while I was there, the radiologist at UMass met with me, and he said, I'm looking at your case, and you're not gonna do radiation. And my oncologists were like, we don't know why, but you don't need radiation. Your cancer is gone. So that was, in some ways, that was amazing news. But in others, like in another way, like I kind of knew. Like I knew from the beginning I was going to be fine. So like hearing the news was almost like, yep, I knew this day was going to come. I went back to BC, and my roommate Chris was like, "Don't you want to go out and celebrate?" And I was like, at the time, I was like, "No, I'm good." Like I kind of knew I was going to get here. So that's kind of like my brief synopsis of my Crohn's and cancer journey. I learned so much from going through those things at a young age. Showed me how important my family was to me. Showed me how important health is, and that's the thing with this coronavirus. It's basically showing the world how important health is, and that people being healthy above all is the most important issue. And that's why we're closing schools. That's why we're taking these drastic measures to keep as many people healthy as we can, and flattening that curve. And all other issues kind of take a back burner. Even education, which I think is such a huge issue, is still under being healthy. Like if you're not healthy, you can't go to school. You can't learn things. It's really hard to learn things if you're not healthy, right? It's just you can still do it, but it's harder. And that's what this is showing, that being healthy takes precedent over everything, over going to see Pearl Jam in New York on March 30th. That being healthy is more important than that. My 2 favorite hockey teams, the Boston Bruins and Boston College, which are having banner years. Like I really thought they were going to go deep into the playoffs and take runs at championships this year. Yeah, that's done. It sucks. it sucks. It sucks for those players. It sucks those BC seniors. Like, sucks for them. But like, you know, health health is more important than hockey. Hockey's just a game. Pearl Jam is going to a Pearl Jam concert is one of my favorite things to do. But I gotta wait. I just gotta wait longer to do it for the next time. Um, so the other big lesson is know your body and know when you're having symptoms. Don't put it on the back burner for too long. I think a good rule of thumb. I mean, and this coronavirus is kind of taking this to the extreme. But like with other issues, I think if you're having symptoms, if they don't go away in a week or two, you should probably go to the doctor, right? With my Crohn's, I waited for years till I went to the doctor, and even then, when I went to the doctor, I didn't tell him the whole story. So listen to your body. You know your body better than anyone, right? So if you know something's wrong with it, and you go to the doctor, they should take care of it. If you know something's going wrong and you go to the doctor and they kind of brush you aside, guess what? Go to a different doctor. There's tons of doctors out there. So I'll leave you with this: that this virus is not going to make things easy. A lot of people are going to get sick, but a lot of people are going to get through it, right? Stay positive. Um, Tell people that you love them. Listen to your body. And I think we're all going to get through this. So I'm going to keep doing these educational videos each day. I think each day is going to have a different theme. Today, I'm going to call today Medical Monday. Maybe we'll do Math Mondays, Math or Medical Mondays. Tomorrow is going to be Pre-K Tuesday, so I'm going to do a Pre-K. I'm a preschool teacher. So I'm going to do a Pre-K Tuesday tomorrow, and keep this going, keep this education going. So if you're a student and class and your teacher assigned this video to you, you can maybe write a reflection about it, ask questions. You can I'll put my email at the bottom here if you want to email me a question. I'll be happy to answer maybe in a future video. Write a reflection, how this video may help you in the future dealing with health issues. But anyway, so day one of no school. I hope everyone's doing well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.